Okay, well, we've got a small group here today, but Aiden, if you're down to get started, I'm down to get started too.
Totally. Um, I am just pulling up our notes stock. Give me 1 minute.
So, yeah, take your time. While you're doing that, I'll just get started and check out the chat and everything. Um, I see in the chat, Elon is just using us all to teach his large language model. That's really funny. Um, I had a conversation with someone yesterday, and they said that it would be really funny if nobody ever started calling Twitter it's by its new name if everybody just kept calling it Twitter forever and ignored the X, which I thought that was funny. I think we should still do that. I do think we should call it Twitter forever until further notice. But um, anyway, okay. Thanks everybody for coming to our FireStride Chat for Thursday morning. I hope that everybody's having a lovely week and that whatever is happening in your Cosmos DeFi world, that things are good for you, and we're happy to check in with you today. And share a little bit about what's happening in our world and some exciting things that are going on behind the scenes at Stride. So I'm going to go through um, Aiden is going to share a little bit in detail about some of the topics that I ask about. And then at the end, we'll take questions. So make sure if you have questions, you can start asking them in the chat now, or you can just hold them until the end. It doesn't matter, and we'll get to them. Um, but yeah, let's go ahead and get started with the question about the V13 upgrade. I know that this was something that we checked in about last week, and last week Vishal gave us the news that it was like just getting super close to being ready to launch, and we'd love to hear a little update on this, Aiden.
Totally. So the V13 upgrade, by the way, Vishal and I were talking last week, and I think Stride might be one of the blockchains that has done the most upgrades in the shortest periods of time. Stride has been live. We're coming up on the 1 year anniversary on September 4th. And I think our 14th upgrade will launch like right on the 1 year anniversary. So 14 versions of Stride in a year is a lot. So we're definitely getting some practice in with the upgrades. So V13 mostly adds it makes some like small um, improvements to different parts of the chain. So one thing that we noticed was there are all of these redundant IBC packets, and it's making relayers relay all of these redundant packets. So typically you'd only send one IBC packet, but there's this weird bug. I think it was introduced in the Huckleberry fix. And it means that instead of relaying one packet, these relayers relay like 20 of them. This wasn't a problem for a long time, but now that we have ICS, there's lots and lots of IBC packets. So now we have IBC packets every block, and there's like 20 of them when there should only be one per block. So it's causing the chain state to grow much more quickly, which is just kind of annoying for node operators. So we added some fixes there. There's some small fixes with ICS itself. One thing we noticed was not all of the rewards were whitelisted. So for example, like STAtom, STOsmo, STJuno, etc., those tokens weren't flowing to the Cosmos Hub. So we updated that, and those will start flowing to Atom stickers. And there are a few other small improvements, but V13 is mostly a maintenance upgrade, a bunch of small fixes. And that one is going live sometime between tomorrow afternoon and Saturday morning. It was supposed to go live today, but there was an issue, which we can talk about in a minute. There was an issue where Stride was getting a bunch of spam transactions, and that ended up slowing down the blocks on Stride, which means instead of going live today, it's going to go live in like 36 hours or so, because the block times were slower than expected due to the spam. So TLDR, V13 has a bunch of small improvements, and it's going to go live sometime Friday night to Saturday morning. Sorry about the upgrade timing. Usually we try and aim for better times, but in this case, the spam slowed us down and put it into a less desirable time.
Cool. Thank you for walking us through that. And I think ultimately at the end of the day, the community would understand. I think, yeah, what the I feel like it's always good if we have to wait even just like a little bit longer for an upgrade because it just means that like whatever the product is going to come out looking like just a little bit better for users. So I'm sure people can appreciate that. And I'm curious a little bit more about the spam transactions. It seems like this is like pretty, not that spam and bots and things like this aren't like rather common throughout the internet and Web3 generally anyway, but what is kind of this trend that's happening right now, and like this is that type of spam like what was hitting stride, or is this like something specific and different? Like what was that situation like?
Yeah, so it didn't seem like there was malicious spam. Like no one was attacking Stride as far as we could tell. But someone was sending lots and lots of transactions. It might have been like a rogue relayer or rogue script. We're not totally sure. In any case, the problem was previously Stripe had zero transaction fees. So anyone could submit as many transactions as they wanted. And this really made the UX a lot nicer because you didn't have to go and buy like STRD tokens to pay gas on the Stride chain. So unfortunately, we had to turn transaction fees on to resolve the spam issue. So the UX is a little bit worse. Luckily, we're gonna try and make it so validators accept all kinds of different tokens. Um, so whatever token you have on Stride, you should be able to use for gas fees. But we did have to turn transaction fees on.
Okay, good to know. I actually noticed this when I was going through the other day. I was like I was updating it, a tutorial, and I was like, why is this charging me? Why do I have to pay in my STRD? But then I realized that, yeah, it must be connected to all this. So thank you for clarifying that. And yeah, thanks for just putting in the diligent work to make sure that this isn't the transaction or, whatever is compromising the way that users are interacting with the app interface. Like, thanks for the diligence and attention to that. But somebody's asking in the chat, well, Catwad says, I like the transaction fees, gives STRT some sort of use case for God's sake. Okay. And then 100 short says, won't the fees actually improve the very low APR bit? Um, are we able to? And then we got Moons letting us know he doesn't like fees. Will can we speak on that? Will the fees actually improve the APR?
Uh, Probably not meaningfully. I think there's there are very few chains in crypto where transaction fees actually drive revenue back to the chain. Even Bitcoin, like the revenue from transaction fees on Bitcoin is much uh, less than um, the cost of running a Bitcoin node, so or a Bitcoin validator miner. So I think Ethereum might be one of the only chains where transaction fees actually provide meaningful revenue. So in Cosmos, there's just like lots of block space and not too much demand for it yet. So transaction fees don't really move the needle, but they do stop things like spam. Um, and we're thinking about some ways to make the UX better so that people don't feel the transaction fees. For example, there is an API that we're collaborating with Skip on. And with this API, you can take any token anywhere in the Cosmos and you can liquid stake it. So if you have like Juno on the Juno chain, you can use Skip's API to transfer that Juno to Osmosis, swap it for Atom, transfer the Atom back to the Cosmos Hub, and then the Atom gets sent to Stride and liquid stake to ST Atom. And then it can even be forwarded like back to Juno. And this all happens in one transaction. So you just pay like your Juno gas fee on Juno once, and then the token has this big trip around the interchain that like flies around to all these different chains, does all these different things under the hood. You don't have to sign anything. And then you just end up with some ST Atom or whatever ST token you want. So we're working on ways to improve the UX, but I would say transaction fees are mostly just spam, not really to increase the yield of the staking token.
Duly noted. Thank you, Aiden. That sounds pretty cool. It would be nice to have UX sort of like abstract all of that away. Um, I see that somebody is asking how exactly do we plan to capture value for STRD? And also the question, or just the comment of Skip and Notional both doing fee abstraction. Um, yeah, so maybe, yeah, we got two sort of different veins here. We're thinking about value for STRD. Skip and Notional are both doing fee abstraction. Do you have any thoughts on either of these, Aiden?
Yeah, so for SCRD, it is primarily a governance token over the Stride chain and a security token in some sense as well. So if you stake your Stride, you're able to help determine the future of the Stride chain by voting on governance proposals. In terms of Skip and Notional doing fee abstraction, I think they are, and we could think about adding it to Stride. We haven't chatted with them too much, but fee abstraction is kind of a cool module, and it allows you to pay gas fees in any token, and then I think the tokens get like automatically sent back to Osmosis and swap for Stride or whatever other token you want.
Awesome. Maybe if you guys are still thinking about um, yeah, just the upgrade or STRD and value and fee abstraction, any of these things that we just sort of covered, feel free to continue sharing your questions in the chat. But I'm just looking at the time, and I think for the sake of time, we can move on to the next topic for now. Um, Aiden, do you think you could talk to us a little bit about ST Atom coming to say? I feel like this is a long-awaited integration, so people are probably very excited about it. What's going on with that?
Yeah, totally. So there are a few pools on Astroport on Say that are going to be incentivized by Astroport. And one of those is going to be SD Atom USDC. The way it's going to work is it'll be incentivized, liquidity will be incentivized both by the Astroport team and the Stride team. Astroport is not adding incentives to very many pools on Say. I think only 3 or 4. So this is pretty special for Stride. And hopefully it'll bring lots of ST Atom liquidity to the Say network, and ST Atom will have a big footprint on Say DeFi. Not yet totally clear what kind of apps we'll see integrate ST Atom. But there are lots of apps that deploy across chains. For example, Mars. I'm sure Mars will be on Say, and I think they'll probably work on integrating ST Atom. I'm sure there will be many more too. Atom is, as I'm sure all of you know, the oldest, most decentralized, most liquid, and probably best store of value in Cosmos. And because Say is a Cosmos chain and very specifically DeFi focused, I'm sure it'll have lots of DeFi applications that build on top of Atom. And as we all know, ST Atom is superior in Cosmos DeFi for a variety of reasons. So that's the TLDR, and hopefully ST Atom gets a good start in, say, DeFi.
Awesome. That's super exciting. Thanks for talking us through that. I see somebody is typing, so we might have a question coming up, but in the meantime, we can just keep moving. Oh, somebody's saying, Atom is such a meme coin we turned into a derivative asset.
Everything is a meme coin. Bitcoin's a meme coin too.
That was exactly my thought. I was just like, well, what isn't a meme coin in a way? Like, I feel like in a way there is this kind of like at minimum like a kind of playful sort of relationship to these things where where we have like a lot of hope in the future prosperity, but never necessarily like the expectation. So I appreciate that commentary. Atom tokenomics are very bad and it's not defendable is a comment we have from TSRA. Let's move on to the next section. Maybe we could talk a little bit more about some of the upcoming integrations or proposals connected to integrations that are on the horizon.
Cool. Yeah, let's run through these. There's a few more or 3 more ST Atom integration updates and 1 ST INJ integration update. So the first is Delphi Labs is proposing to list ST Atom as a collateral asset on the Neutron outpost of the Red Bank. So this is sort of what I was describing might happen on Say. It's already happening on Neutron. Mars has integrated ST-Atom on Osmosis, and similar process is happening on Neutron right now. The 450,000 atom from the Cosmos Hub community pool have been LP'd in the ST-Atom atom liquidity pool on Neutron's Astroport DEX. So there's now some protocol and liquidity on that DEX. This is a pretty significant moment in Cosmos. The biggest reason it's significant is I think it's the largest protocol and liquidity in an LP pool that I'm aware of in Cosmos. It's also the first time it's happened for ST-Atom. And there's lots of benefits. So Neutron apps can now utilize all this ST-Atom liquidity. Mars on Neutron could approve ST-Atom as collateral. So there's all kinds of benefits to this. Pretty exciting moment. And Agoric, who the protocol that supports IST, is considering onboarding ST-Atom as collateral to mint IST against. So you could put up some ST-Atom and mint a stablecoin against it. And given there's billions of dollars of staked Atom, and there's really a lack of stablecoins in the Cosmos ecosystem, having fully LST or partially LST-backed stablecoins could be a big step in the right direction for unlocking some liquidity in the Cosmos. So pretty exciting proposal there as well. And finally, Helix opened a liquidity market to trade STINJ for INJ. So if you're an Injective user or not, you should definitely go check out Helix. And yeah, so those are the integration updates from my end.
Awesome. Thanks, Aidan. That's super exciting. And it's cool to, just think about different ways we can put our ST tokens to work in DeFi. I think now would be a good time for us to think about what's happening in the chat. People have some interesting commentary about just about, I guess, the Cosmos relationship to Atom and the public perception of him. So I'll just read some of these out loud, and feel free to share your thoughts, Aidan, if you have them, and I can share mine too if I have any. But I see Catwad says, it's time these protocols realize that users don't care about Atom. It has had years now to position itself, and it has proven to be a do-nothing hyperinflation token. Users are abandoning it for more useful networks like Inj and real liquidity hubs like Osmosis and Kujira. And I see 100 Short follows up with, all these meme coins were airdropped to us for free. Atom has great tokenomics for other chains. So some meaningful criticisms and any observations of the function and role of Atom. Do you have any sort of opinions on this, Aidan, that you'd be willing to share?
Yeah, it's definitely it's interesting. I think it's true. Kujira and Osmosis have attracted lots of users and liquidity, and there are other chains that may have better tokenomics than the Cosmos Hub. Although I think there is work being done on the Cosmos Hub to rethink the tokenomics. But taking a step back, I think it's hard to see how another token in Cosmos could become the store of value for the Cosmos ecosystem. So I think John from our team had an interesting tweet about this the other day. He was talking about how, like Bitcoin created all of crypto, and it's the main crypto store of value. For years and years on any centralized exchange, Bitcoin was the quote asset. And then only more recently did that switch to like stable coins like USDC and USDT and things like that. And it's still by far the biggest crypto, even though tokenomics are super simple and it doesn't do anything. And then Ethereum came along and created DeFi and rollups, a bit more tech savvy and advanced than Bitcoin. And ETH is the main DeFi store of value. So if you go and look at DeFi apps, for example, like Maker, STETH is one of the largest collateral assets. And playing this out, Atom created the Cosmos. And so I think it's hard to imagine how it won't continue to be the Cosmos store of value. It's a pretty simple thesis, but I think it is pretty sound. And especially in the past year or so, Atom has had a lot more energy behind it. I think Atom 2.0 was a bit messy, very political, lots of people on both sides. But since then, the Cosmos Hub has shipped quite a few features. So interchain security is live. One of the first shared security systems in production, like EigenLayer is similar on Ethereum in a lot of ways, but not live yet. And people criticize interchain security because it's not totally clear that it'll drive enough revenue back to the Cosmos Hub. But there are future versions of it, and there are also other things that the Cosmos Hub can do. So I think security is only one side of this coin. Alignment is the other. And for example, the Cosmos Hub could take more of a stake in the chains that it secures, and probably also provide other services. So I think the Cosmos Hub, even though there are imperfections in the Cosmos, it still has by far the largest and most decentralized and most caring community. And there's also a lot of innovation. So I'm still quite optimistic about the future of the Cosmos Hub, but I do hear some of the criticisms as well.
Thanks for that. That interesting take. I do appreciate the
Oh, and one other point on 100x short. I totally understand. No one understands that people don't maybe like if someone shows up to the Cosmos, they don't fully understand all of these nuances. But one thing that I have noticed, like when I was getting into Cosmos, I didn't understand Cosmos, but I bought some Atom because it was the Cosmos Hub. And like that's something that people can understand. That is pretty simple. And maybe it's sort of like a left curve take. But if you look on Coinbase, Cosmos Hub, out of any Cosmos token, has by far the most liquidity and trading volume, and it's still like a top 20 or 30 market cap coin, which no other Cosmos token, I guess Luna maybe was above that, although sort of debatable whether they were a Cosmos token.
And I see 100 short makes it interesting comment. Coinbase has 21 million atoms staked. And Catwad says support the osmosis economic zone. Cool. Thank you guys for your just your thoughts and commentary, your ideas and everything. But yeah, I think ultimately it's cool to sort of explore the discussion of like what is the true sort of like value that we assign to Atom, and how is the public perception of that, obviously like functioning to either, support how people are utilizing this token or not. And it's just interesting to see that there are, lots of different perspectives on even within the cosmos of how useful Atom is, and hopefully Stride's having a meaningful impact in kind of increasing the use cases for or making our tokens more available in those places. I see someone's commenting just LOL mesh security. Yes, LOL mesh security. Feel free to elaborate on that if you wish. Does anybody from the audience want to come on stage and chat or like leave a comment for us, or I know the chat is very active right now, but feel free if you are thinking anything. Yeah, get on the stage, Mystique, and then TS Ray, you can come up next. Sweet. All right, I made you guys both speakers, so take your turns. Thank you for being up here today. What's on your guys' minds?
So I have questions. So I have three questions actually. So let me ask them first. So what's the role of Stride in like LSM? What's our input, and is it going to be challenging for us if LSM is going to implement it on the hub? The second one is, are we planning like Stride can be the native DEX for if we try, so native DEX for staked ST tokens. I don't think there is anyone specific for ST tokens, like only ST tokens to ST tokens. Osmosis is there, but only for ST tokens only. If we are trying to push that on Neutron or anywhere else. And the third one is for governance. I asked this in chat also, but didn't get enough engagement. Why are we limiting the governance to like a limited entities? If it doesn't bring any load onto chain, shouldn't we expand it or allow it to be any number, any people? Like even if a small amount of people want to give a power to, and like even a group of friends want to give power.
Yeah. So your first question is around LSAM and whether it's competitive. The second is around ST tokens and a native ST token DEX, and then let's come back to the third one. I didn't totally follow it. On the first question, LSM at first glance might seem competitive with Stride because it is called the liquid staking module, and you can mint liquid staking tokens. But if you dig a bit deeper, it's really not. And the main reason is if you mint a liquid staking token through LSM, it is specific to a validator on the Cosmos Hub, which means the token isn't useful anywhere in Cosmos. Like you can't go and use this token as collateral on Umi, take a loan out against it. Can't really do anything with this token. So you need to have fungibility for the tokens to be useful. And actually, LSM helps Stride in a lot of ways, mainly because you don't have to wait to unbond your tokens to liquid stake them anymore. So previously, you would have to unbond your atom. It takes 3 weeks, and then you go and liquid stake that. And you lose out on 3 weeks of yield. But now you can just go to your staked atom, and you can click 1 or 2 buttons on Stride's website when this launches, and then you'll have liquid staked atom. So it simplifies the process quite a bit. In terms of SC token DEX, it's an interesting idea, and I know a few teams have thought about this before. I think with concentrated liquidity on Osmosis and Astroport, DEXs will really start to both the trading and LP experience on these DEXs will improve quite a bit. And Stride really isn't. Stride is very simple and minimal, just as liquid staking. So I don't think Stride should try and build a DEX. I think part of the spirit of Cosmos is collaboration through IBC, and we should just let other DEX teams build a great DEX, and Stride can focus on liquid staking. I know we have to hop off in 1 minute, so maybe TSR. Thank you for your questions, Missy. Maybe TSR, you can quickly ask your question, and then I do have to go in just about a minute.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, just a comment. I don't know if you guys were watching the discussion in general last night, but it was pretty amazing to see the dip being eaten like crazy, and I was already in bed and I couldn't. I'm cursing myself because when I was feeling like I should get in, it was still 70 cents, and anyways, so it was pretty amazing last night, so people can catch up on that. Just a shameless plug here. Tomorrow I'm holding Twitter Space for Stride Strategic Reserve Commonwealth Proposal. So it's tomorrow, 3 p.m. UTC, 4 p.m. UK time. So if big brains can come and join, that'd be awesome. It has excess of 150 views already. Probably 30 of them are mine. Just trying to read the questions. But yeah, if folk have time, it would be lovely to discuss that as well. Thanks.
Can you share the link to your Twitter space, and we can post it on our community Twitter? And yeah, I would love it if people could be in attendance and be in discussion with you about the proposal. Yeah,
so I will send you DM Summer. Yeah, it would be great if we can. It's a discussion, and I'm just so very, very happy because there are so many people who have contributed to questioning and then challenging me, and yeah, it's pages and pages and pages of discussion. So at the end of the day, if the community discusses something, I'm really, really happy with that. So I'm going to jump back because my phone has some issue. I can very faintly hear you. So thank you very much. Yeah, appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, looking forward to getting that link so we can invite the community to participate in this. But I think for now, I know Aiden's got to hop off because he's got something coming up after this. So I'm going to call it now. Thank you guys so much for being here today. And if you have any more questions, of course, you can always find us in the general chat. We love to be in discussion with you, and we hope to see you next week. Yeah, and thank you for the sweet comments in the chat. I really appreciate. But yeah, thank you guys. Aiden, any signing off words?
Nope. Thanks, guys, and talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay, cool. Cool beans. Bye.